Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another semester of Sports Talk in the Burgh. I'm Michael Schuley, and over at the desk we have Logan Carney, Nick Hedrick, and Adam Maluso. We're waiting eagerly to discuss today's topic, so without further ado, let's jump right into things. After their victories this past Sunday, the Los Angeles Rams and the New England Patriots have punched their tickets to Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta. However, these victories and playoffs have had some incredible moments. Guys, who do you think will win the Super Bowl, and what are your overall thoughts on the 2019 NFL playoffs?
Honestly, it's going to kill my soul to say this, but I got to say that the one that's going to walk away with the Super Bowl, Tom Brady. I mean, there were a lot of people that thought that KC was going to be easily able to handle the Patriots in the AFC Championship, but
really?
The one reason why
a lot of people
why they didn't get a chance to handle them is because their defense did not handle not just Tom Brady, but Julian Edelman. Nobody left him covered, and in the last few minutes of the game, he was left for about 4 or 5 throws wide open right down the middle of the field. Nobody covering him.
Well, Melissa, I don't know who you're talking to. Is nobody thought that the Patriots would be able to handle the Chiefs. The Chiefs have the 9th worst defense in NFL history in terms of yard, 4th worst defense in scoring to ever make the playoffs. So, I mean, in NFL history. So I don't know who you were talking to about that, because there wasn't really, there wasn't a doubt in my mind the Patriots would make it.
Yeah, I was looking.
He was mostly looking at me, so maybe
Logan.
I thought that.
Yeah.
I did rule the Patriots out as the playoffs began, but after they dismantled the Chargers, for lack of a better term, I realized that there's no way we can just doubt Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. And going up against a team like Kansas City, the only way Kansas City beat the Patriots was if they kept scoring and matched them in terms of scoring, which they did. But that defense was not going to hold down.
Defense wasn't
going to do the whole story. I wanted
to
get into, because both games went into overtime. So what are your guys' thoughts? I know my thoughts. I've made it pretty clear off camera. What are your thoughts on the overtime rules, especially with how the Patriots won on Sunday?
I think it's criminal that Patrick Mahomes doesn't get a chance.
Didn't get a shot on the field, yeah.
So what do you think they should do?
I think they take college but adapt it. I say instead of putting them so close to the end zone, they give them at maybe midfield.
The teams that people like to use the term is that overtime is basically decided by who wins the coin flip. Right? So in college football, the team that wins the coin flip wins the game 54% of the time. The NFL, 52% of the time. The team that wins the coin flip ends up winning the game. I couldn't find statistics when they updated it. Before they changed it to where you didn't need a field goal to win, 70% of the time, a team that started with the ball first ended up not scoring on the first possession. And that was before that they got rid of a field goal to win.
Right.
So are the rules really that unfair? It's actually more fair than college, statistically proven.
But you allowed the Patriots to walk right down that field, and I agree with that.
Yeah,
it doesn't allow
I think you still have to give both
on that field. You've got to allow Kansas City to get on the field and let Mahomes get an attempt on that field.
They did allow them.
I'm impartial with it.
If Kansas City made it stop, they would have been on the field.
And that's where this is so complex.
It's not like saying you're not allowed to be. You're no chance of an offense possession. They have the chance.
But I feel that if you can't match the attempt by the Patriots on your next attempt, if you can't get a score in, that doesn't give them any sort of a chance.
Never mind.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your takes there. I will have to disagree with Logan there. If you're the NFL, you want your best player to have a chance in overtime. Mahomes is going to be the MVP of the league. If you're the NFL, you want to see him have the shot. He's the next guy in the league. But let's move on here. Continuing with the NFL, the Steelers, of course, were unable to secure a postseason position for the first time since 2013, with all the drama of missing the playoffs and then the Antonio Brown saga that is continuing and ongoing. Following the end of the season, what in the world is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, this is kind of like a melting pot of issues that's just kind of been just a mishmash of stuff that just hasn't gone the Steelers' way. Honestly, I know that in the aftermath of not being able to make the playoffs, the one person that everybody kind of heaped blame on was Chris Boswell. Get rid of him. He's a horrible kicker. That's what I immediately saw. But you can't just put all the blame on Boswell. You have to put some of the blame on not just head coach Mike Tomlin, and I'm going to be audacious and say, yes, some of that needs to go on Tomlin, but also on Ben Roethlisberger. However, for the AB situation, I wouldn't blame him as much. Now, AB has said, I don't really want to hurt the Steelers, but then he goes out and he does, first of all, his childish behavior he wasn't named MVP, so he's like, I can't deal with somebody else getting named MVP, so I'm just going to storm off and miss practices. How is that becoming of an NFL player? And number two...
All right, well, Melissa, I'm going to interrupt you there because we only have 30 minutes in the show, and you were taking forever to get to your point.
Says you. Says you.
Yeah, how many years have you done that, Logan?
But point is, of course they all deserve blame. AB deserves blame for acting like a child. Bell deserves blame for not signing this contract and not showing up. That deserves part of the blame. Tomlin deserves part of the blame. But people keep undervaluing just how much blame goes on Ben Roethlisberger. Especially with all the dysfunction. He's been the captain for the offense for years and years and years. All the dysfunctions on the offense. I mean, of course, the defense hasn't been great, but we don't see defensive players, coming out making all
We
these
don't see this
headlines.
kind of drama.
It's the guys that are under Ben Roethlisberger.
And the defense, frankly, based off how they began the year, the way they finished was quite strong, actually. I mean, they were one of the worst defenses at the beginning of the year for the first couple weeks, but then by the end of the season, they were middle of the pack. My blame goes on Mike Tomlin. Let me tell you why. You tied the Browns week 1. You lose to Oakland, who had traded everybody worth a penny away.
The only decent
they
player
blew
they had was
leads to
Khalil
Denver.
Mack.
They blew leads to the Chargers. That is on coaching. You have to have a team.
You have to be solid. You have 3
be
interceptions against Cleveland.
No.
That's Ben Roethlisberger.
But you need to be solid as a whole.
It's his problem for not having them prepared and doing the proper play calling and adapting to how the game's going.
You can call whatever plays. Your quarterback, who's supposed to be your franchise quarterback, star quarterback, throws 3 interceptions.
This was the
you're
year.
Not gonna win.
This was the year that everyone said this is the year they have to win the Super Bowl. There's no more chance. He can't get his team ready to beat the Raiders, the Chargers. You can't sweep the Browns. That's on Mike Tomlin. I don't care if he's never had a losing season. The fact that he never won a Super Bowl with Brown, Bell, and Ben is absolutely ridiculous.
He did win one with Ben.
He didn't win one with all 3 of them, which is what I said. And if you were reading through your glossary of notes there, you might have heard me. But the fact that he did not win one with all 3 of those is absolutely criminal.
Well, I mean, and it's just ridiculous, too, because this was the year that you said, and it's going to be interesting to see where Tomlin goes, because I think his future's up in the air.
All right, thank you guys. Maluso, I'm going to have to disagree with you on your point, saying that Antonio Brown walked out because of the MVP situation. No, it was because he had an argument with Ben Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger can easily be described as the worst leader in the history of the quarterback position. He, time and time again, calls out his teammates in the media.
What?
Not good for the locker room.
Am I allowed to respond to that? Worst at the quarterback position?
I think he's the worst. I think he's the worst.
I
think he's the worst leader at the quarterback position.
Are you kidding me?
Name another quarterback right now that continuously.
You said the worst in history. So
continuously calls out their teammates in the media.
That includes. That's ridiculous. All right, just say, what's the next topic? That's just no. No.
All right, so Logan's going to continue to be wrong at the desk, and let's see what he has to say.
Wow.
As the calendar inches closer and closer to February, for baseball fans, that means the start of spring training is almost here. After missing out on the playoffs in 2018, the Pittsburgh Pirates are looking to find themselves in the postseason once again this year. But guys, do you think they have done enough this winter to improve to a team capable enough of making the playoffs?
I thought they were a team capable of making the playoffs before, they didn't do anything in the offseason.
Yeah.
I mean, they added Lonnie Chisenhall. Chisenhall's a good replacement for Gregory Polanco until Polanco comes back midseason. That's a nice move. Eric Gonzalez at shortstop is, it's a guy that, has a career on-base percentage below 300. He's not a guy that consistently gets a base. He's not known for his glove either. He's not, Nick Ahmed, who's still on the trade block from Arizona Diamondbacks. That's somebody I would have liked to see. So did they do enough? I mean, I thought they were already good enough. Am I going to say they're going to postseason? No.
Yeah. No, I think
they can definitely make it 100%.
They were in a spot where they needed a big signing or two to really make some noise. But then they let some of the backbone guys leave.
Some of their guys.
They let guys like Mercer, Harrison, Nova, and Rodriguez, who I don't like and did not do well last year. He's a utility guy who can be played in certain spots when guys get injured and usually hold his own. But it was time for him to go. But I'm just saying, you lost a lot of guys that could fill in a lot of gaps.
I agree 100% on Nova, though.
And honestly, if you're looking at one of the biggest names to sign right now, it was either Bryce Harper, which that is still kind of a little bit mixed. Looks like he could be going to Philly. That's all the rumors that we've been hearing. But also even Manny Machado, which now, again, he's being linked to the White Sox. But, some of these guys that you mentioned, they let the backbone go. Jay Hay, Starling Marte, these guys that I think were really essential. Could have kept
the guy that would have been paid $10 million to hit 200? That guy they let go?
All right, thank you guys once again. Maluso, I'm going to have to disagree with you. Losing Harrison, Mercer, Nova, I think they should have kept, but I don't think losing those guys is going to crush you. And as for making moves in free agency, they're never going to land a Bryce Harper, Manny Machado. And plus, who else was there really out on the market there's going to make that much of a splash? I would love to see them try it. Brian Dozier, who signed a contract for 1 year, sub $10 million. I think that would have been nice, but it didn't happen. Now we're going to move on to the ice, and the Pittsburgh Penguins are currently sitting in 4th place in the Metropolitan Division. However, there are just 5 points separating the 4th place Penguins from the 1st place New York Islanders. What are your thoughts on the Penn season as we sit at the All-Star break?
Maluso, me and you were talking about this before show. There's 2 numbers that
Why wasn't I invited?
You were here. You were just ignoring
You're
us
here.
for
We just
reason.
didn't.
Looking at your glossary of 1 page of notes.
This is a page and a half, and they're concise and just what I need.
All right, so you're not prepared as me, so that's great. But anyway, looking at these, there's 2 numbers that really stand out. It's the plus-minus of Kessel and Malkin. Now, yes, these 2 guys are second and third in the team in points, 53, 52. You look at that, that's not bad of a season, but minus 14 plus-minus for Kessel, minus 19 for Malkin. That's a big issue. I mean, you look at the glaring reason as to why they're the 8th seed in the playoffs right now. I mean, again, 4 points up.
They're not there to play defense.
But no. But here's the problem.
They're not there to play defense. That's not on them. That's on the defenders.
Are not being able to get in there. That's why they have the minus 14, minus 19. And I'm sorry, the guy that's leading this team in goals right now, Jake Gensel, even Crosby with 57 points. You need your guys like Kessel and Malkin to get in there, start putting pucks in back of the net. You know what? I'd mentioned this to you, Logan. You know what? And I know I'm from Buffalo, and the Sabres are only 4 points out. But you know what? If you want to bridge that gap, if you're the Pens, you have to start winning games. And the Pens just aren't getting that from their scores. I gotta wonder, what can you do to shake things up around here, even just a know. It doesn't have to be monumental.
I mean, I don't know if things are that drastic.
I don't think things are dire.
I don't think things are dire. But if we were asked to. I'll finish this real quick. We were asked to point the blame at 2 things. It's that plus-minus.
That plus-minus, yeah.
I think they usually play well just before or just after the All-Star break. And plus, once this team does get to the playoffs, they're very seasoned veterans in terms of playoffs. One thing I want to look at, Derek Brassard, who was traded with Nick Bonino. Brassard has 14 points. Bonino has 26.
All right, guys. I think, though, Logan, if you're going to blame your two of your 4 best offensive players for your team's defensive woes, I think that's a little unwarranted, and I think that the Penguins should look to add a defenseman at the deadline. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with more sports talk in the Burgh.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average 4-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Here at Robert Morris University, we pride ourselves at the experience that our students gain while they're actively learning in the classroom. Some even come back to share that knowledge with new students.
I never dreamed that I'd be back here. I'm having so much fun. I'm doing a lot of what I was trained to do and what I went to school for.
The Colonial Sports Network is a great opportunity for students to learn real job skills in sports programming.
To be able to see what the students want to make of it, because it can be anything that they want.
I love being here, seeing students, seeing myself in the students that work with me, and I'm really blessed to have so much talent to work with. It's really amazing.
To be able to see students become successful after Upper Moore is really cool.
Join the Colonial Sports Network team and expand your future today.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool. To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
Back to Sports Talk in the Burgh, and let's hop right back into things. The RMU women's basketball team currently sits with an overall record of 9-8, but they are 6-0 in NEC play, and at times they have been absolutely dominant over their conference rivals. Why do you guys think they have been so successful so far this season, and who do you think has been the biggest surprise player so far?
Well, I'm going to say that the top one for me is Nneka Ezigbo. Her points overall, and I mentioned this before they played Fairleigh Dickinson a few weeks ago, and she has 171 points. And then you have Isabella Posset, who's making strides to 138 points, and then right behind her is Hanoka Ikematsu, 130. So those three, I mean, it's kind of a core, because I was a little bit shocked at how this team started out. Non-conference-wise, it was a little bit surprising, but once they got onto a roll,
I think there's a lot of talent on this team, and they had to use that non-conference schedule to adjust and adapt to everything. And then especially the injury with Callahan kind of threw them.
That did throw them.
But they've really rebounded here, no pun intended, from conference play, and they're doing really well now. And I look at Bella Posset coming in as a freshman and doing as much as she has done. You have to give a lot of kudos to her for handling this role the way she has.
Again, Nneka Ezigbo, that's one of the players that I have highlighted here. Hanoka Ikematsu, averaging 10.2 points a game in conference play. Another player I highlighted here. But Erie, 7.8 points per game. That doesn't jump out, but 7.5 rebounds per game.
Yeah.
Second on the team. That's a big reason. You made the joke about their rebounding. Her and Nneka Ezigbo averaging about 15 rebounds per game.
Maybe it wasn't a joke.
Big difference.
Maybe it wasn't a joke.
All right, guys, thank you. I'm going to actually agree with all of you. I think one of the best parts about this women's basketball team is that they are deep across the board. Staying on the hardwood, the men's basketball team is also off to a hot start in conference play, as their 5-1 record in the NEC has them currently sitting alone atop the standings. RMU is in first place in the conference despite sophomore Kobe Thomas not seeing the court yet since NEC play has started. Can the Colonials continue their success without him on the court?
I definitely think so, but there's a couple of facets to this that I think have produced quite a bit of Colonials offense. Obviously, the Williams brothers, Josh and John Williams, they're doing really good at just working the ball around, getting points from three. Maddie McConnell stepped up to get threes, but the one guy that I think has really dug in deep down low, Savion McEwen. I watched the game against St. Francis Brooklyn, where there were several times where I thought that RMU was just out of that game. They didn't really have a chance because St. Francis just kept hitting buckets. Glenn Sanabria, who's been a thorn in the Colonial side, kept getting points. But Savion was crashing down low, and he was able to get some key points and key fouls.
Right. Melissa, I'm going to interrupt you there. You mentioned that three-point shooting hasn't been their strength. John Williams is 32% from three-point line. McConnell's 30. That's very average. You got to talk about them like they're the greatest player ever. No, the reason that they're so good is their defense. Their defensive efficiency rating is 108th in the country, in the entire country. That includes all the Power 5 teams, all right?
Hold on a
second. Maddie McConnell and Malik Padaway, top 100 players in steal percentage, and they're among the best in the country in terms of defense. That's why they're winning right now.
I just wanted to call a timeout because I agree with Logan, and I just wanted to take the time to appreciate this moment. Best scoring defense in the conference, best scoring margin in the conference, 3-point percentage, shooting-wise, is second best in the conference, as is their 3-point percentage defense. So
you got me wrong there, the 3-point shooting in the conference, but still.
All right, guys.
Defense.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on here to ice hockey, but first about the men's basketball. I think Logan and Nick, you were both correct in saying about this team's defense. They've been spectacular so far, and the men's basketball team is another team that has a very deep roster. I think they'll be fine without Thomas. Moving on to the ice now, J.C. Gebhard was named the Western Collegiate Hockey Association's Player of the Month for her efforts this past December. And this This is the first time that this award has been given to an RMU player, and it is the first time that it has been given to a player in the College Hockey America Conference. What does this mean for RMU women's hockey, and where does this put Gebhardt in the discussion for the greatest of all time compared to Brittany Howard?
I mean, it puts her right up there. First player in conference history to do it. You know, it's not just RMU history. First player in the conference, the entire conference to do it.
I agree.
It's very significant. She's been a great player since she came here. You know, the 15 goals this season, her career high was her first year with 22. So it's a great player, already on pace to set career highs and across the board, points, goals, assists.
Yeah, even in the last semester, there was just a huge stretch where it was like Gebhardt's getting a point a game, and I'm watching. I'm like, can she ever stop scoring or assisting? She knows how to pass, put the puck in the net, and that huge stretch, that's helped get her up there to be talked about with Brittany Howard. I think if she's really she is gunning for it, and I can say this with confidence. I think she's going to get there.
Right. Howard has 181 career points. Gebhardt has 119. I think she can reach it. I think she's playing at this pace. Like you said, scoring and assisting so much, I think she can probably get there. And I mean, she has 15 goals this season already, and she only scored 13 last season. So now I think maybe even Brittany Howard was kind of limiting how much Gebhardt could impact this team. And I think now that she's the star of the team and has taken over, the opportunities for her are endless.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. 100%. Up there, top player in the program history. You know, she still has 1 year left, so who knows if she actually ends up passing Howard as the best player in program history.
Definitely possible.
Yeah, I mean, but the accomplishment that she has, we can't minimize what she did.
How big it is.
I mean, it's the first player in not just program history, but the entire conference.
All right, guys,
we're really significant.
We're going to move back over to basketball. My thoughts on that. Gebhardt is trailing shortly, just barely behind Howard in points per game. I think Howard's is something like 1.31, and Gebhardt's at 1.30. But I do think Gebhardt will eventually catch Howard and go down as the RMU women's hockey GOAT. Now, shifting back over to basketball, the Penn State men's basketball team currently has a disappointing 7-12 overall record and a dismal 0-8 Big Ten record, which the team has seen them dead last in the conference. As for the West Virginia Mountaineers, they are currently in last place with a 9-10 overall record and a lackluster 1-6 Big 12 record. Of these two local teams, who do you think has been more disappointing this season?
See, it's tough because Penn State's, you can make the argument it's been worse. Of course, just one win, but that win by West Virginia was Kansas. Was a really, really good team, ranked team. So you can make the but West Virginia came in ranked.
Right.
So they were 23rd.
They're historically pretty good as well.
They're pretty good. They're always up
for them to be 9-10 is.
There were a lot of expectations after Penn State won the NIT last year that they would, get to the tournament this year. They haven't been a good tournament. They have not had a good basketball program, in history. I believe they only have 4 NCAA. I have to double check myself.
But I mean, also look at how good the rest of the Big Ten is. I mean, Penn State's, I don't see them ever beating teams like Wisconsin, Michigan State for the conference title. They've lost 6 in a row. They're 0-8 in their conference. As Shuli said, that's about as bad as Maluso's mustache. You're not going to do anything doing those kinds of things. Penn State, I guess they were supposed to make noise this year, but I was never on the hype train, and now they're just proving me right.
Well, now I just want to shave this mustache off.
You should have done that long ago.
To get it off your back. But you know what? Honestly, and the two things here that are so ironic is there's people that I've seen saying, "Oh, can Penn State make it back to the big dance?" But the other thing is the one thing for West Virginia that I definitely think was the turning point for their season was their loss to UB. Because that was not a ranked team.
Turning point. That was the first game of the year.
Right, but that was a huge
win. The very first game of the year.
But that's where it kind of went turning point in that it made them. It sent them downhill.
How can it be a turning point if the wheels didn't start moving?
He wanted to mention Buffalo. It's okay.
I got a plug.
He wanted to mention Buffalo.
That was the one game that it sent.
He found it in.
It was the one game. It was the first game.
He found it in and he took it.
A lot of number ones there.
Hey, WVU beat Pitt.
I'm going to have to butt in here, and I'm going to say I agree with you guys. West Virginia, with the exception of Maluso saying it's a turning point, they never got started, man. That car has been put in park since the jump. Absolutely nothing there. And that's all we have for this segment. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to have the final takes.
Nia, I don't know what you're doing, but your future is more important. She's my strength. It takes a village to help somebody get their diploma. Changes your whole life.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be blood. Next Thursday?
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day.
I have no time for this.
So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
What to expect when you're expecting.
Like here?
A teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to team-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
I'm ready for the... Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Home fire drills give your family a plan of action. In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So when you drill, show everyone 2 ways out of the house, pick a safe meeting spot, and get there in under 2 minutes. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year. You can even make them fun. So everyone knows the sound and exactly what to do when they hear a smoke alarm. Go to ready.gov/fire drill and learn how to prepare your family for home fires.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to hop right over to their final takes. Adam, what is your final take for this week?
Thanks, Julie. Well, for my final take tonight, I want to address possibly one of the oddest occurrences in the NFL in the wake of the NFC Championship match between the New Orleans Saints and the Los Angeles Rams last Sunday. Now, even though I was one of many who could not believe that the officials missed a crucial defensive pass interference call on the Rams' Nickel Roby-Coleman that ultimately cost the Saints the NFC title, I don't want to focus on all of the hubbub around the play itself, but rather on the outpouring of Saints fans who have legitimately created a petition to force the NFL to replay the game because they feel that they were robbed. Now, I'll admit I was one that actually signed this petition because I disagreed with the call. I'm now scratching my head at the utter lunacy of the idea. Now, Norla, I feel for you guys, but a mere petition is not going to change a thing. Suck it up, get your act together, and make sure to cheer loud as hell to send the Rams past the Pats in the Super Bowl.
Can he say that? I'd like to dedicate my first final take of the new semester to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Was that a good Yinzer impression, Logan? Boy, I hope so. Thank you for breaking my heart yet again by playing down to your competition and handing games out to subpar teams like it's your job. Frankly, I would love to say that I'm surprised, but I would be lying. I'm a lot of things, including much better looking than Logan Carney. But one thing I am not is a liar. Bell is gone. Brown is about to leave because apparently he still isn't getting enough targets, so he's going to take his ball and go home. Tomlin all but lost the locker room. Frankly, I am very worried about next season, but because I am who I am, I still believe in the Steelers. I believe in Juju, big old Ben Roethlisberger, James Conner, and TJ Watt. We have reason to be concerned, but this team has a lot of talent, and we should not be acting like it's the end. But the locker room drama needs to end now. The huge egos in the locker room also creating a huge problem need to stop. And Tomlin needs to stop trying to be everyone's friend and just start being a coach and get a handle on this team. And if he can't do that, then he should take the 2 Super Bowls he won using Cowher's players and go home.
I disagree with a lot of that, but I'll just let it go. For my final take yesterday, Mariano Rivera made history when he was elected to the Hall of Fame unanimously, which was the first time this has happened in the history of Major League Baseball, like I just said. First things first, great for him for making the Hall of Fame. Well-deserved, not arguing that at all. However, it is utterly ridiculous that a closer is the first player to actually come in unanimously. Not Willie Mays, not Ken Griffey Jr., not even Babe Ruth and Honus Wagner, but a guy that pitches maybe 1 inning in a game. Furthermore, reading why people voted for him, they mentioned how great of a guy he was off the field. Being a great person off the field is great, but it shouldn't be considered when voting for someone to make the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is about honoring those who are great on the field. On it, not off of it. So for people who think Mariano Rivera is a better player to have as your first unanimous Hall Hall entry because he didn't smoke and drink like Babe Ruth is irrelevant. Rivera is a great player. Congrats to you. But the whole Hall of Fame process is completely ridiculous.
I can't believe that.
All right, thank you guys. And I'm going to close this one out better than Rivera could because I'm a Hall of Famer myself. Thank you for watching. Be sure to tune into RMU tonight next week and Sports Talk the week after that. Thank you for watching.